All right, everybody, buckle up, because this time on the deep dive, we're heading straight into the world of African tech.
And we're diving deep.
Yeah, no kidding. Forget your average app launch. This is about Texonnect, and let me tell you, it's a whole different ballgame.
It's big, really making waves.
That's what caught our attention, right? We're talking research papers, articles, even insider accounts. We're not just skimming the surface here. We're going deep on this one.
Absolutely. And believe me, it's worth it.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today back with Texonnect Voices. And it's super exciting because this person I'm connected with, he and I go way back in the day. We told you for the information we need to get you on Texonnect, we don't even care if we have to go to the rival camp. So, back when I was in the fancy camp, this man was in Augustine's, and, recently we've had to crush them a little bit. So there's a little bit of beef, but it's all good. It's all good. It's all love. Texonnect is a space where we bring all these forerunners in tech together to drive tech decisions. And Michael Hanson is a good friend of mine. He's also a member of the Texonnect. And one thing that he's been ailing about is data and the way data is being used and how we're taking advantage of data. So as part of the 32 series that we're running, we have him scheduled under the big segment, big data and analytics, and he's specifically drilling down to the economics of data. So today we're talking about big data's economic impact. And we have a few things we want to connect with Michael on. Michael, can you maybe give the audience a bit more background about yourself?
Thank you, all you Texonnect viewers, and welcome to Texonnect Voices. Thank you, Papa, for giving the opportunity to obviously come on and speak and, have a discussion. Well, I've been in the tech space roughly about 10 to 15 years now, primarily as a sales professional. Obviously, I grew up in Ghana in the 90s, was primarily in our teens where, technology was very, 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 very scarce. The best you could get is probably like an Apple computer, which took so long to dial in. And like Papa said, I'm a proud alumni of St. Augustine's College. The science quiz, it was just a point. I think it was 2 points you won by. You guys were lucky. So, but yes, my career background was mostly in the financial sector, working in the UK for banks like Barclays, Lloyds, and Royal Bank of Scotland, primarily NatWest, in the retail banking space to start off with, then moved up to SME, small business, and then the corporate level with Royal Bank of Scotland. And yes, it's been a bit of a frustration for me, the speed at which, or the lack of speed at which the industries in Africa, well, primarily Ghana, is moving, because we're not just taking advantage of the information that is generated daily. And I think it has to be discussed and remedied.
I like that. So let's get right into the crunch and the crust of the matter. Big data's economic impact. How has the rise of big data and analytics contributed to driving economic growth on a global scale?
If you look at, what is big data? If you think about it carefully, big data is literally it refers to data sets, information that is too big for normal data processing software to analyze. And when we're talking about big data, we're talking about information that is generated on the daily. So you're looking at the volume of it, the velocity of it, and then the variation. So it's huge. And it's coming in at speed, and it's coming in from different destinations or different sources. It's coming from different sources. So that is basically what we can use. And if you look at how the impact is in the world today, if we look at what the so-called developed countries, everything is sort of predictive. They use the information from the past to predict what's going to happen, or to make decisions about what's going to happen. So if you take the financial services industry, for example, if you run a bank account well, let's say for a year, 2 years, the bank can see using the data from the past, how you've run the account. They can say, okay, he deserves an overdraft, or he deserves a credit card, or he qualifies for a mortgage or a loan. You understand? If it's a small business, for example, oh, he's run the account well, so he can qualify for a loan, which helps him expand, which helps him employ more people. You understand? I mean, look at it from even the infrastructure side of it. Traffic, the trend of traffic. Oh, this part of the country around 8 a.m. becomes choked. So the data that they gather can help town planning say, okay, we need to build access roads for this side of town, or we need to build a bridge across this river to ease traffic on this side of things. So data has basically transformed the world in terms of being able to predict and move forward without having to wait for something to happen. That's how I see it. For what would you say?
Interesting. So it sounds to me like data has, when it comes to looking at the economy of any country right now, data is more or less that resource that is getting it, putting it in perspective and allowing us to have a lot more management than we used to do in the past. So let's talk about data warehousing and economic strategy. How do modern data warehousing techniques enable businesses and governments to make better economic decisions? First and foremost, you're saying that's a lot of information coming, or that's a lot of data coming. Yeah. But now that plenty data is coming, how do businesses and governments use it to make better economic decisions?
Right. I mean, like I said, my mission is to tackle the financial services industry, but it can cut across. It can cut across. I mean, when you get volumes of data, the first thing that needs to be done is that it needs to be cleaned. If you look at the financial services industry, let's say primarily a bank, see where the data sources are coming from. You've got the core banking system in every bank. They have a core banking system, the branch network, the ATMs, their mobile apps. They have the online banking. So they've got information coming from so many different angles. And now people are mobile. So back in the day, when you open an account with a specific branch, you probably did all your transactions or interactions with that branch. But now we're global. So you move around, let's say even the country, you can open an account in Kumasi. Next thing you know, your job has taken you to Accra. So you need to visit a branch or transact in Accra. And then so you go to different branches. So the information coming in is a lot. So the first thing that needs to be done, it needs to be cleaned, because if you have a data solution and you're putting wrong information in, you're going to get wrong information out. So it needs to be clean so that when the decisions are being made or the predictions are being made, they are absolutely spot on or as close to right as possible. Okay. So I'll give you a practical example with the banking industry. If you've got a client, has a bank account, has a job, earns 5,000 cedis a month, pays the mortgage, writes checks out, pays some direct payments from the account, maybe sends some money to the Momo account using various avenues, the app, going into the branch, writing out a check, or ATMs. At the end of each month, probably leaves about, let's say, 1,000 cedis left in the account, pushes it to a savings account. Consistently over, let's say, 12-month period, the bank should be able to use that information to isolate these customers to say, he deserves some sort of investment product. He deserves some sort of credit facility. And if you move it into the economic space, as in the commercial space, this small business can qualify for a loan. This small business, if he needs help with the expansion of a factory, then usually what happens is, oh, you need to go and bring 3 months or 3 years worth of chartered accounts and from an accountant and things like that. And it can be tedious sometimes. But if the bank has data on the customer to see how they have been running, those sorts of decisions are quicker. And it makes things move the economy move faster. And if small businesses can expand quicker and faster, it bodes well for unemployment figures, it bodes well for government tax collection, which will help the country develop quicker.
Nice one, nice one, nice one. Now, in all this, what is the role of business intelligence? Because it sounds to me like we need more intelligent systems to deal with the data that we have. I mean, can you explain how business intelligence tools help organizations achieve?
I'm glad you asked that.
Success?
There's various solutions out there, but I'm going to be a bit biased because obviously I worked for Microsoft for a couple of years, from 2015 onwards, and I'm a big fan of Power BI. Power BI is Power Business Intelligence. It's a solution that basically analyzes the data that you have to come out with reports, come out with predictive solutions. And it's very important because the sheer volume of big data, the sheer volume of information, if you don't have a specialized tool to analyze this information, it becomes a bit of a problem. So solutions like Power BI, I know Amazon have got theirs, Cisco, Oracle, those kind of solutions, Oracle Exadata, I mean, those kind of solutions will help you analyze the data coming in so that the decision making is a lot swifter and a lot easier. So Power BI, Power Business Intelligence is very, very important. It cannot be overlooked.
Interesting. Great. Michael, let's talk about real-time analytics in dynamic markets. How is real-time analytics transforming industries and enabling rapid responses to economic challenges and opportunities?
I mean, you actually just said it. Real-time. I mean, everything that takes time is cumbersome. I mean, look at the economy we're in now. Yeah. Look at how many times we've done biometric tools, as in data collection tools, for our identification, for our social security, for our healthcare. Even in that space, it's all different silos. We've got the Ghana card, we have the biometric passport, you have SNIT now have their own biometric information system where you have a card with all your information on it. It's all not married. So it causes cumbersome problems. In some, in the, let's say, developed countries, I can use England as, for example, all the information is married into one data center, one place. So you can walk into a hospital. If you don't have your NHIA card, you can give your national insurance number, which is the equivalent of SNIT, and they can still trace your name, address, all your details. And then you just have to ID yourself when you get there. You understand? So the importance of it cannot be underestimated. If we don't have the swiftness, it causes delays. And when it causes delays, you can go to like the DVLA, the passport office. Everything takes so much time. I mean, I recently renewed my passport and I got to the passport office at 8 o'clock. It took me about 4 hours to finish off everything, going to the various desks to get this signed off, to get this stamped, then to get a picture taken. It was like 4 hours. You understand? And some might even say that's good. But 4 hours out of a working business day, because obviously they don't work at the weekends, it becomes and mine was even a renewal. Yeah, it was a renewal. So in a renewal, the information should already be there. So there should be I should be able to do it online. And then they track my old passport, get the details, or I send a new updated picture if my features have changed a lot. So I shouldn't even have to go to the passport office. You see? So the importance of it, cannot be underestimated. It will move our country forward leaps and bounds if we could get this right.
You've hit on some serious points. As a matter of fact, I was like, is he really going to go there? But yeah, I guess we went there. Let's talk about data visualization for policy and business leaders. Why is data visualization so crucial for economic decision making? And how does it help non-technical stakeholders understand complex data?
I mean, if you look at it, you remember this song? I think it was Bob Marley, right? He said, if you don't know your history, you don't know where you're coming from,
You
right?
don't know your
You remember that?
history.
See?
They
If
don't
you
know
don't know
where
where
you're
you're coming
coming
from, you
from.
remember that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, what's the difference in any company, any corporation? If you don't know the information from the past, if you don't know that it can be analyzed, put it through your Power BI tool, your business intelligence tool, to come up with accurate reports. And the way the reports come out, obviously, is to aid a non-technical person. And when we say non-technical person, we're talking about a lot of the decision makers, our CEOs, our managing directors, our chief directors, even our president may not be technically conversant with all the ins and outs and the intricacies of these sort of data information, the solutions. So it has to be broken down so that it can be understood and so that the um, the decisions taken are as accurate as possible. For example, if you're looking at our weather trends along the coastline, for us to get an early flood warning system or a tsunami warning system, we need to have analyzed all the information that has been collated, make sure it's accurate, make sure it's clean. And then that way, when we're building or awarding a contract to somebody who can build this system for us, it's very accurate. It's not all about finances. It's about experience. It's about how the reading of the data has been done so that it is the decision making is accurate. I mean, if you can't visualize the information properly, the only people who are going to be running the systems are all going to be IT professionals. You know what I mean? They're going to be guys who've got degrees and PhDs in information technology. So, and obviously that cannot be practical. It can't be the case. So, I'm not an exactly a technical person. I've had to understand the industry as I've worked in it. But that all comes down to the way the information is visualized for me to understand it. And that way I can also pass it on to the next person, either a customer or a
Which we're
decision maker.
grateful for, because ideally we're not even trying to do this tech stuff for just techie people. But want to make sure that
Yeah,
everybody understands and everybody can appreciate it. Because after all, we're looking for practical solutions that can be used for practical daily activities. Let's talk about
yeah, that's
small
right.
businesses and big data. You know, how can small and medium-sized enterprises, which make a bulk of, the businesses in Ghana and Africa, how could we ensure that they leverage big data analytics to complete and thrive successfully?
Bro, listen. Um, so big data and SME, like I said, it's crucial, especially for an economy like ours. Let's be honest. Our economy right now may be struggling, and a lot of people tend to look to government. And I think it's unfair because it puts a lot of pressure on government. It doesn't matter who is in power, but when the economy struggles, the small and medium enterprises or large corporations, even um, like what do you call it, multinationals leave Ghana. It's this SME industry in Ghana that has to pick up the slack. So if we are not analyzing, like I said to you, especially in the financial sectors, if you look at the banks nowadays, they're very I wouldn't say scared, but lending to small businesses is kind of a risk for them, you see, because we look at it as, a lot of businesses don't have fixed abodes. They might be online businesses. They might not have, um, let's say, the collateral that most banks need to lend or to give financial support to. So you see companies like MTN, um, what's the other one? These fintech companies are now stepping in with the mobile money lending and things like that for smaller level loans. If banks and lending institutions had this information readily available, so and it's shared, it needs to be shared. So I know there's some credit rated agencies in Ghana but they're not really expansive, and the banks are not connected to them universally.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own which they use. So I think that all this information is being lost because it's not being utilized so that the manufacturing industry, the logistics industry, transportation, all these industries outside of the government realm are not being given the support they need to expand and to combat the influx of foreign players. You see, so I mean, I wish I had a genie so I could rub the lamp and have three wishes so that we could have, finance for the SMEs, the market for the SMEs, and lower competition from foreign players. Because if we can't thrive as an economy, then the unemployment rates are going to be high, youth unemployment especially, which is very worrying for me. So it's crucial that the SME market has access to these sorts of financing, but it comes through the data and knowing what SME companies can actually survive. So we need to let the banks lend responsibly. It's not like a blanket rule, but they need to be able to pinpoint some of the companies that, okay, no, these guys are going to be big in the next 5 to 10 years. So let's support them to employ more people, to get more products on the market and services as well. So I think it's very, very important.
Nice one. Now let's talk about big data and public policy. What role does big data and how can businesses and governments, basically, what role does big data play in shaping effective public policies and fostering national economic development?
Look, big data, the information, let's break it down into what the big data that we already have in the system, all right? Generated by government itself. Like I said earlier, we have the Ghana card. That was the big thing, right? Has all your information on it. You can't get a SIM card without a Ghana card. You can't transact business without a Ghana card. So that takes a lot of the security aspect of it out the window. It protects against a lot of fraud and it's supposed to help security agencies track down people a lot quicker. All right. Let's move to national insurance because we've got the NHIA card, which practically holds the same information as the Ghana card. And then your biometric passport, the new biometric passport, also holds pretty much the same information. The digital address, if it's a woman, your maiden name and things like that, your mother's maiden name and things, date of birth, everything is on there. But it is in separate silos. If government uses this under one banner, for example, if you have like a central data center where all this information is held and kept, you can use the Ghana card alone for everything. Pretty much when you walk into the hospital, the Ghana card number can be picked, your details will come up, then you can attach it to your medical history. It can be attached to your police records. It can be attached to your social security. You see? So quite frankly, it kind of helps us with security. It helps us with even the national census, how to know how many people are in Ghana, what resources we need, planning for the future, how many schools we're going to require, how many hospitals. I mean, the application is boundless. You understand? It just starts with marrying all the different silos, all the different sources of the information so that it is in a central point. And this is where I even say that when you have this sort of information, it feeds then into the financial sector, where if you can track down somebody's digital address, you'll be more inclined to lend to that person because they will not be lost in the system. Yeah, they'll be lost. But now you don't want to give anybody a credit card because if they move, you can't locate that person. They can run up a tab and then move. You understand? Now, with the Ghana card, for example, with the SIM cards, if somebody runs up a debt on the MTN mobile lending and they discard the SIM, they can't go back to MTN to get a SIM card anymore. However, they can go to Vodafone They can go to Airtel because the information is not being shared.
Yeah.
If somebody is owing MTN, they shouldn't be able to go to Vodafone to go and get another SIM. You understand? So with the government and the public application is one of security. If somebody has an accident and his license plate number is linked to his Ghana card, to his information, it's easier to trace. So if you have a hit and run, you can trace.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So the public application for big data, that one is even crucial in terms of national security and development. How we've, you commend the current government who've added the 6 regions, demarcated so that development can be more.
Yeah.
But then if you don't have the data and information about these regions, the population, number of employed, number of unemployed, how many people in these regions move out to regional capitals to seek healthcare, how would you know how many hospitals to build?
In these census is trying to do quite a bit, but
yeah, it does. But then when the census is done, where's that data kept?
Yeah.
You understand? Where's that data used? Ghana Statistical Service is obviously in charge of all of that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, where's that information kept? Is it kept in their own servers?
Yeah.
Is it kept in a national server? Do we have a national data center that all the information is supposed to kept and government agencies are supposed to share? It's really important for our development so that any subsequent government that comes just knows where to continue and there's no break in development process.
I mean, NITA are doing quite a bit, but now they're moving more into regulation. So I think you have a partner that's helping out with that implementation of managing that data center. But anyway, let's switch directions a bit and let's talk now about ethics and economic growth. With the rapid growth of big data, how could businesses and governments ensure ethical practices while driving economic success? So just because you can doesn't mean you should, or just because you have access doesn't mean you have the right to access, right? And these days with KYCs and all that, people are just getting too much data. What is the ethical implications? I mean, how do we ensure that practices are ethical?
You see, this is where data protection policies come in.
Okay.
Data protection is key and crucial. Now, in other economies, the data protection laws are followed to a T. And I'm being honest, and this is from experience. It's not because of I'm trying to make it up. I'm talking about practical examples I've had in where I've walked into an office or I've walked into a bank and people's information are still on the desks of whoever is working on the information is right there. So the problem we have is, yes, the ethical question comes from the culture of the country. If we come from a corrupt environment, then it's going to be difficult to enforce some ethics. But that's where government has to step in. We do have a data protection policy in Ghana, and that governs the usage of the information that's being gathered. If you take Bank of Ghana, for example, I know Bank of Ghana are very skeptical about keeping customers' information in cloud. And you can check for yourself. The rules are there. Banks are, because the governance around cloud business is not really set in stone yet. Our country is, let's say, a bit behind in terms of the advancement of cloud business. It's not that it's a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing. I'm an advocate of cloud, but it has to be in the right environment. So the Bank of Ghana was a bit skeptical in allowing all the banks to keep data in the cloud because of obviously fear of leakage, fear of hacking, fear of it being lost. But then you have to keep it on premise now. On premise means physical data, physical servers, information is kept on and stored, but that gets expensive over time.
Well, it's
you
not
keep
always
having to
also
add.
very secure as well. It has its own challenges. If you look at
The challenges are there.
Sam and Drendy,
You see?
we talked about it.
So I'm thinking maybe government now is leaning towards a bit of a hybrid system where some data can be kept on cloud, and then they have to have stringent protective covers and comply with the rules before they're even allowed to do that. So it's not something that you can just get up and automatically change overnight, you see? Because let's be honest, in every economy, not just Africa, not just Ghana, ethics plays a big part, you know? There's fraudulent acts. There are people who obviously will use data in the corrupt manner or the wrong manner. And then with the inception of AI, I mean, I've seen some videos that scare me to my core because I thought they were real, but they were not. You see? So same thing can be done for information. People can, put stuff out there which is disinformation is what they call it. You see? So government policy has to be very, very, very stringent. And then the enforcement of it has to be stringent. If people are found to be complicit, they need to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. They need to know that there's consequences of messing around with such an important aspect of an economy, which is the data, the big data to be in fact, because, if we are soft on it, then we become like a target from outside hackers, outside attackers, outside fraud organizations, and they are there. It's not like they're not there. I was a fraud investigator in the bank for about 6 years, and we are way behind in terms of the level of securities and things we have in place. And I'm talking about 2004 when I was working in that department. It's like 20 years ago. So it's really key.
I think we're coming up quite a bit though. I mean, yesterday I was at a book launch and there were some interesting things that we talked about. And our next episode will probably be engaging with the cybersecurity guys. So
yes, that was my next thing, the cybersecurity. We are making strides, and I love the agenda that's being pushed with the cybersecurity agency. I was there a few months ago, and it's fantastic the works, especially with when I was there was to do with the OEM partners, such as my company. The registrations and what we have to go through before you're even qualified to go and sell cybersecurity solutions or deem yourself a cybersecurity vendor. You see? But then what I'm saying is those rules have to be followed through. They have to be protected, they have to be enforced, and it has to be very, very strict. If there's no discipline on that, that's where disaster will strike.
That's why Tech Connectors are out, man. Having our fingers in all the pot, trying to make sure that everybody is playing right. Yep.
Amen.
Yeah. So hey, Michael, one last question before we get off this. This has been really good so far. Let's talk about the future of data analytics in the economy. What emerging trends in data analytics do you think will have the most significant impact on economic success in the next decade?
I think next decade in Ghana is going to be like the Big Bang. I believe it's going to explode because you're having, like I said, big data is the volume, the velocity, and the variety. We're having a lot more tech sort of business, tech sort of interaction with tech. I mean, look at the way employment is going now. A lot of young people are moving into the tech space. Fintechs are coming up with new and improved solutions day in, day out. Fantastic products that are coming on the market. But I think the cloud explosion with a lot of the functionalities being moved into cloud, applications being moved to cloud, I think that is where the explosion is going to be. Not just in the financial sector, it's going to be in the manufacturing space, especially with us in Ghana, where manufacturing, sort of an industrial revolution, needs to happen soon. It's heading to the point where big data and AI, I have to mention AI to people's session, is going to be crucial as well. I mean, it's something that, if I'm honest, kind of scares me a bit, but it's something that we can't fight. And we have to move with the times quickly so that we don't get left behind. So in the next 10 years, I think the economy is going to be more digital. It's going to be more expansive in terms of the numbers. A lot of young people are now being more educated. The educated youth is more. So the demand for tech is going to be wildly increasing. the use of tech in business for business decisions, hopefully, for companies like mine, we hope is going to be expansive as well. We hope the financial sector moves to more data-driven business decisions using business intelligence, using cloud computing and cloud storage so that more volumes of information can be stored and then refined so that decisions are more accurate and more precise. So that way it makes the living conditions for every citizen kind of better. And I really pray that even though the explosion comes and it's a fun thing that moves along, the discipline is attached to it. So we have the rules that govern it, the enforcement that governs it, so that it can be used in the right way, and citizens and businesses and government itself can be protected.
Wow, sounds good. Sounds interesting. Sounds like we're on our way there, but there's a lot of work to be done. We need to be a lot more proactive. And that's why dialogues like this are important.
There's some brilliant minds out there. We have a lot of talent in Ghana and in Africa in general. And there's a lot of opportunity and potential for these data-driven industries or data-driven decisions to be made accurately. So I think, once we tap into that, I think Ghana is definitely on the right track. It really is. Ghana is definitely on the right track.
Well, Michael, thanks a lot for connecting with us on Texonnect Voices. As you know, try to hit all those 32 areas to make sure that we're bringing gold from the area of tech to the world.
Pleasure.
And try to create solutions that are African-centered and African-grown so that we can lead the world in tech. Thank you so much for being a part of this.
My pleasure. Anytime. Thanks a lot, Papa. Bless.